Hi, we're Nia and Mary-Anne from Seren Health Coaching. We are metabolic health coaches who are passionate about good metabolic health for everyone. We also love to chat about all things health and to share as much information as we can with people who want to make changes to their lifestyle but aren't quite sure where to start. We're going to release a new episode every Friday where we talk about a different aspect of health. So do subscribe and let us know what you think. We'd also love to know what you're interested in too. So if there's something that you'd like us to have a chat about, do send us a message and we'll do our best to cover it soon.
Are you on record?
I am on record. We can go for it.
Okay. Hi, Nia.
Hello.
And you recently wrote a really good, I thought, short blog post about exploring the idea of why health coaches are not more popular
Oh,
in
yes.
in a sense. Why would you pay a health coach? And I really liked it because I think it is a huge issue for us. Um, lots of people spend money on hairdressers and in nail
Mm-hmm.
bars and on
Mm.
all sorts of self care, but they balk at paying for anything to do with, I don't know, mental health or counseling or health coaching sort of comes into that bracket. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily mental health, but that self care bracket that you can't see,
Mm.
I
Mm.
think. And the question is, I suppose, why?
Yeah.
And this blog you wrote really made me think about it. So go for it. Tell us about your blog.
Okay, so I was in the garage
Yeah.
waiting for my car to be fixed when I thought about this because
Yep.
it was a very, in a way, a very small but crucial problem with my car.
Mm.
And I knew I could, I had Googled it, obviously, and I'd
Yeah.
watched a video on
Obviously.
YouTube
Yeah.
because
Obviously.
I like to see
Yeah.
what kind of a job it would be. And
Oh,
my
golly.
major concern was that it would require quite a big lot of the car being taken apart. And I thought, is it going to cost me millions of pounds? Because it's never ever the part, is it? It's always the labour. So I just wanted
Exactly.
to know what kind of a
Exactly.
job it
So
was.
you're paying the mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was reading these, blogs, these forums rather, where people sort of say, "Oh, I did it myself," and I thought, "Oh, okay." But I was a bit worried because, there were great instructions to do it, but it's a crucial part of the car, isn't it? So if I get it wrong, that's a car out of action, and,
Yeah.
without going
Yeah.
into too much detail, that would be the second car in a month out of action, which
Yeah.
would not
Yeah.
be a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
idea. It's expensive, and it's potentially dangerous if I get it wrong.
Okay.
And so I thought to myself, okay, so I've chosen therefore to use the skill of
Yes.
this mechanic. He is,
Yes.
I have to pay him. Of course, I have to pay him. But I think, a labourer's worth their due. If they've got
Yeah.
skills and expertise, we
Yep.
should be paying for that.
Yep.
But what I benefit from by taking it to this mechanic is that he's got lots of skills, he's been trained, he's worked on hundreds of cars,
Yeah.
he's got hours of experience, hours and hours. So I'm
Yep.
quite happy to pay him for his skill, basically.
I really love that. And I think we all do it. So, I mean, you're a millennial, you're more likely to look on YouTube about what they're actually going to do. I would be saying, my car doesn't work, can you fix it?
Yeah.
But, we get to the same place. So you're happy to pay for his skill and experience that gets your car safely fixed and in a reasonable time. Because remember, if you use the YouTube video, you might be some days on your forecourt or on your drive at home because
Well, exactly.
it
I
might
mean,
take you an awful lot longer if you
yeah.
attempted it yourself. And you know what they say, time is certainly money in our modern world.
Yeah, and I mean, to a certain extent, you'll resonate with this. But my dad used to take things apart and fix them all the
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
and he's fabulous at all of that stuff. And but as we all know, that as things have got more
Mm.
um, advanced, they kind of let you have access
Yes,
to
you
less
need
of
a
the machine.
computer. Yeah.
Yeah, and then all of that is obviously a thing.
Yeah.
But I also realised that I don't, I've never done any training in
Yeah.
mechanics. I'm always one of those people who's willing to have a good try
Yes,
at
you are.
anything,
Yeah.
but I don't have the experience to fall back on if
Mm.
something goes wrong. And that made me think, well, why would you pay for a health coach? Because, of course, you could get lots of resources from
You
online,
you could.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, all the rest of it, and loads
Yeah.
of ideas of how to improve your health. And in
Yeah.
theory, you could just follow these instructions and improve your health for free without ever talking to anybody.
And that's why the self-care part of book selling, I think, is so incredibly popular. I mean, people
Mm,
buy self-improvement books all the time.
to
And
DIY it. Mm,
yeah, and I mean, we've done it ourselves, haven't we? Um, but this is really interesting to me. And we know that some people, as you say, can be really successful
of course they can.
doing
Yeah.
this alone, but it's quite a small proportion of people, I think. And we do have some data around that, don't we? Because we know that things like the slimming clinics will put out some data.
Mm,
Um, and that's possibly why people pay slimming clinics, of course, because it's giving them some sort of accountability and all that.
mm, mm.
So ultimately, we know that some people will succeed, but lots of people won't succeed long term, even if they succeed in the short term, and
Mm.
others won't even get past that first hurdle.
No, no, absolutely. And I think this then kind of made me think, well, he's an expert in his field, in mechanics, in cars, and in
Yeah.
particular types of cars. And we are experts in
Yes.
our field,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah.
And although health coaching in itself is rather a new field,
Yeah.
we've decades of experience in health. We understand how the
Yes.
body works.
Yes.
We've met more patients in our combined careers than most
Yeah.
people have had hot dinners.
Yeah.
We have experience and we know what you don't know that you don't know. So I think
Exactly.
that's a fascinating thing. So we have years of training. We've listened to patients. We've understood how to communicate complex research. We've broken down the
Yeah.
science to help people understand.
Yeah.
We've talked through problem solving to all our patients and clients. You know, we've said to them, okay, so what's the other way we can do this? And we understand how the bits of the body fit together. And I think I was then thinking, well, ultimately, your body's the most important machine you'll ever own.
Yes. Yes.
And you know, talking to somebody who isn't just a weight loss consultant who's just
Yeah.
managed to successfully lose weight on a program and then been
Yeah.
employed by them, you know, we actually know that if you tinker here, this spot is what might happen over here. And if you have this diagnosis of, I don't know, fatty liver disease, and we're talking to you about your health, we understand what the implications of that
Yeah.
will be
And how you got there.
and how
Mm.
you got there. And if
Yeah.
somebody comes to you with a myriad of medications for a lot of different diseases, then understanding why they're on those medications, because, and this is the thing I find is really important. So, Bob off the street could tell you that Ramipril was for
Yeah.
high blood pressure,
Yeah.
for example, because
Yeah.
maybe he's got friends on it
Yeah.
and maybe he's
It's
got
labeled in his chemist's, yeah,
yeah, but
whatever.
he might not know that so and so is on this medication not because of they've
Yeah.
got hypertension or high blood pressure, but because their doctor wants to protect their kidneys for
Kidneys,
something.
yeah, yeah,
So there are other indications for other drugs. There's a knowledge that we have that
yeah.
is incredibly niche. And I think that's why you pay for a health coach. And that's why you pay for us, because we
Yes.
have that insight that other people just simply don't have. And I don't want to say that in terms of blowing my own trumpet. I'm
No,
just
no.
saying this is what my
Yeah.
experience has given me.
That's why I love the blog. I thought this is a really great analogy. So you'll pay that mechanic because you can't do it, but what you don't understand maybe is that by paying a health coach, you'll be doing exactly the same thing with the
Mm.
most important thing that you own. But
It's so
you're not aware
precious.
of that, you see.
Mm.
There's that lovely Indian proverb which we often bring out. You've got lots of problems in life, and then when something goes wrong with your health, you have only one. And it's
Mm.
so true because I think lots of people who need us really don't know they need us, but they also haven't hit that one health problem that maybe turns it round,
Mm.
where they become less invincible than they thought. And it
Yeah.
happens to all of us probably at some point. So I love that. I love that analogy.
Mm. And I think, you know, we have to kind of get on the same page. Like, you know, if my car blows
Yeah.
up, which coincidentally one of my cars
Yes,
did just blow
dude.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. It did.
Different car, by the way. But you can replace your car.
You can.
It's expensive and it's
Yeah.
painful and I
Yeah,
wouldn't
but you
recommend it,
can.
but you can. You can't replace your body.
No, there's no
And
body shop that you can go to. I mean, wouldn't that be great? And, there are books written about cloning and all sorts of interesting
mm,
things that are quite disturbing. But at the moment, you got one body and it's got to see you out.
It
Mm,
has,
okay.
absolutely. So we know that in many ways we focus on all the wrong bits.
Yeah,
We focus on things that we think matter that don't.
yeah,
And we also know that people do better with a mentor and a
yeah.
cheerleader. And perhaps that's why they're willing to pay for slimming clinics and things, because
Yes,
they get to
because
speak to somebody
yes,
who helps them with that. And it depends on who you get. I mean,
of course, they're
you can
very
get a
good.
mixture.
I'm sure slimming leaders, and you get that little book, don't you? And it's that accountability you're paying for. But what we offer is a much broader look at your health than the slimming bit,
Mm,
because of course being overweight is incredibly common in our world and for all sorts of complex reasons, which we all know about. But maybe you don't if you're out there struggling with your weight and you think it's just your fault.
mm,
So we've got lots of, good stuff up our sleeves. But what I also like is the thought that you see health coaching a bit like imagine having a mountain guide who
mm.
knows the paths well up a mountain. Um, and you'll get stuck on some bits and go on the wrong paths and often go back and forward. You get lonely, sometimes you lose your way. This is without that guide. But
Mm.
imagine if you had a guide.
Yeah, and somebody who knows the paths well. So it's like,
Yes,
you wouldn't climb Everest without a Sherpa, would you? Because that would just be
exactly,
foolish.
exactly. So we're the Sherpas.
We're
Yeah,
the Sherpas, yeah. And
yeah,
it's so much easier when you've got somebody who's
yeah,
trodden that path before you,
yeah.
who knows a bit about what you're going to go through, and who is basically for you whatever happens.
Yes,
And then you gain a bit more confidence,
exactly.
and then that increases the likelihood that you're actually going to reach the top.
Yes.
And you travel the ups and the downs together, but you always know someone's in your corner.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's,
it's less
yeah, much better.
scary, um, and and because we've done it so many times, we will give you that confidence,
Mm.
to you'll always dictate the mountain, by the way, you choose the mountain,
Oh yeah.
but we'll be your mountain guide, so you're in control of where you're headed, but we
Mm.
know all sorts of good paths and even a few shortcuts. We've done it all before, and we really also know how it feels, which
Mm.
is another bit of this.
Yeah. So that was maybe where I came to. So was,
Yes,
would you pay for the
yes,
expertise of somebody, arguably for the most important thing you will ever own,
yes,
somebody who isn't in it for the money? And that's another thing,
yes,
that I was really interested in.
mm,
The influencers, the people who say all you've got to do is take this
yeah,
supplement, all you've
yeah,
got to do
yeah,
is do this kind of thing. All they really want is you to sign up, buy their product. They're not interested in you as a
yeah,
person. So I think it says a lot about
yeah,
the kind of person you're signing up with if they want you to have a direct debit with them every month. um,
exactly. And you
and
really are worth it. This is the point. At the end of the
mm,
day, I mean, your car might be worth it because you've got to commute or whatever, but actually, you are so much more than that and
mm,
really worth it.
mm,
So, do have a chat with us about health coaching and how it can work for you. Send us
mm.
a message. But I loved your blog.
Oh,
Great.
thanks. I'm not going to the garage again soon. Can I just
No.
point that out? I'm
Yes,
done now.
exactly. It's quite a few health coaching sessions there. Anyway.
But yeah, anyway, the mechanic was lovely and he fixed my problem and he was
Well,
excellent.
exactly, and that's why, and
Yeah,
you paid him without rancor. So there you
well,
go.
exactly. Lovely. All right, I'll see you
All right.
next time.
See you soon. Bye for now.